My name's Stephanie, and I struggle with my mental health. So I've always had image issues. In many Indian cultures, there's like a culture of overfeeding, but there's also the counter culture of like body shaming. I was overweight for a lot of my life. Sometime around last year, I began weighing myself every day to see what I could do to make the numbers decrease, even though like I knew that numbers don't really matter. I couldn't get it out of my head. So on weekdays, I usually weigh myself after school, and I don't drink water in the day before that so I don't add to the scale, right? And then I weigh myself. I started eating less. Quarantine allowed me to do that because it gave me the opportunity to not eat in front of people. They don't have to see where the food goes. They don't have to see how much I'm eating. Over time, the fasting became more and more intense until at some point it wasn't enough and I began purging. It was around daily, but it steadily increased till it was multiple times a day. Each letter is a month, and I only started recording in mid-October, so I only have mid-October till today. And every box is filled with how many times I purged that day. I'm keeping track of how much I purge because I want to see my progress, how far back I'm going, where I'm at, the patterns, and I think it might be good to look back on in the future if I ever recover. I knew how bad it was for me, and people I told about it later on told me how bad it was for me. I knew the mortality rate, I knew the effects it had on my body, I knew the mental effects it had, but I just didn't care enough about myself. It's just easier to hide everything, and the loneliness, the isolation, it just leaves you with your mind. Usually my worst days are when I do binge. So I don't binge too often, but it does happen sometimes, and I don't use marshmallows too often, but sometimes. You know, it's just any food that you're not supposed to eat. Any food that's like sugary, fatty, high caloric, those are usually the ones, right? So, like these, but I haven't binged on these in a while. I feel like the isolation also played into it because I was just stuck with myself, right? There's nothing to distract me from myself and how much I hated the way I looked. I guess, in a way, my mind was a bit brainwashed by beauty standards. It doesn't feel like that, but I know, like logically, it probably is somewhat true. So I've started looking into therapy, and I might be starting sometime next year. I'm hoping that can help my self-esteem, help me to come to terms with my body neutrality and body positivity instead of the toxic mindset I have right now.